eschatology, right? What is my view? No one cares. This is my view for the end times, okay? If there even is such a thing. So obviously there's a such thing as the end times, but it's not what we think. And it's not what we've been taught for our entire lives. It's not what I've been taught for my entire life, okay? So that gets that one out the way. I am not pre-trib. I am post-trib. All right. Video's over. No, I'm kidding. Let's look into some passages, man. Let's look into the number one passage that everybody likes to go to. And no, it's not the book of Revelation, because we're not going into that one today, because that's a whole nother video. But if we look at Matthew 24, Matthew chapter 24, okay? We're going to look in here. Now, we're going to be looking at just this today, okay? The whole thing, all right? And we're gonna read it together, okay? We're going to break it down, read it together, all right? Here we go. Now, before I get into it, I do not believe that the tribulation is coming. I believe that the tribulation's already happened in 70 AD, okay? So with that in mind, let's check it out. Here we go. Jesus left the temple and was going away. Now, before we go any further, in later on videos, I'm not going to cover all this in one video. I might do a live stream, I'm not sure. But if we jump all the way back to Matthew 21, 22, 23, and get the full picture of what Jesus is speaking about right here. He is not speaking about something that's coming future. He's talking about something that's coming to this generation, and we'll get to that in a little bit. So, I'm going to be covering a lot more than just this. We're going to look at the Synoptic Gospels in another video, right? Mark and Luke, we're going to see what their perspective is on this, of this end times prophecy. Prophecy. It is a prophecy, okay? But it's for this generation, not this one that we are currently living in, but it's the generation that Jesus is talking about in this passage. Here we go. Let's read it again. Verse 1. Jesus left the temple and was going away when his disciples came to the point, to point out to him the buildings of the temple, right? But he answered them, "You see all these things, do you not? Truly, I say to you, there will not be left there one stone upon another that will not be thrown down." So, this temple is going to be vanquished, right? It's going to go. It's going to be destroyed. And we all know, hopefully, we all know that in 70 AD this did happen. There was not left a single stone on top of another. The temple was completely destroyed, okay? And so we'll go a little bit further. As he sat on the Mount of Olives, right? Now this is the Olivet Discourse. Let's look. The disciples came to him privately, saying, "Tell us, when will these things be? And what will be the sign of your coming," right? "And of the end of the age?" End of the age? Now I'm reading out of the ESV, okay? And Jesus answered them, "See that no one leads you astray." Man, we've been led astray so long in the West, man. Everybody's been led astray in the West. Here we go. "For many will come in my name, saying, 'I am the Christ,' and they will lead many astray," right? "And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not alarmed, for this must take place. But the end is not yet." Now, a lot of people look at that with the rumors of wars and the earthquakes and the whatever else. They look at this and say, well, sounds like the end times to me. But no, right here, Jesus plainly says, but this is not the end. The end is not yet. Okay? Now, verse 7. "For nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom," right? "And there will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All of these are the beginning, are but the beginning of the birth pains. So those are not signs of the end. Okay? Those are not, those are things that has to happen. Okay? Famines, earthquakes, rumors of wars, kingdom against kingdom, nation against nation. We've seen that in the world wars and stuff like that. Why hasn't God already came back? Because we've already had multiple world wars. We've had civil wars. We've aided other wars that we have not been involved in and all that stuff. What other war is there, man? Come on. Anyway, then they will deliver you up to tribulation. Oh, Lord, there's the word. There it is. And put you to death. And you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake. That's happened. It's already happened. It's not now, right? We actually live in a very free country. And it's just now getting pretty bad when it comes to proclaiming the name of Jesus. All throughout history, American history, right? You can see not a lot of persecutions happen to the Christians. And actually, the Christians is what founded this country. Wow, what? No way. Take that, atheist. Anyway, so verse 10. And then many will fall away and betray one another and hate one another. Wow, have we been seeing that all throughout history? Here we go. And many false prophets will arise and lead many astray. Well, yeah, that's happening today. That's happened for the first century. That's why, the Apostle John tells us how to test the spirits, right, in 1 John chapter 4. So, verse 12. And because lawlessness will be increased, right, the love of many will grow cold. Yeah, sounds about right. And that's been happening since day one. But the one who endures to the end will be saved. At this gospel of the kingdom, and this gospel of the kingdom will be proclaimed throughout the whole world as a testimony, right, to all nations, and then the end will come. Okay, so we're not at the end just yet. We're not there just yet. These are just the signs. Okay, these are just the signs. But we've been seeing this since day one, right? Since Jesus came, died and resurrected, we have been seeing these signs all throughout history. We've seen this. This ain't nothing new. Oh, well, the world's supposed to get all bad and we're supposed to get worse and worse and worse. You hear a lot of people say that, a lot of older people. That is not true. Okay? It's just simply not true. And we will see that that Jesus is proclaiming in this chapter is not to be followed in our future. It's something that's already passed. Now, what Jesus is speaking to, who is he speaking to? That generation. Here we go. Oh boy, here we go. The abomination of desolation. Here we go. Now, before we go there, the gospel, right, of the kingdom will be proclaimed throughout the whole world, right? Before we go any further, actually, and I told you we were just sticking to Matthew, but I think this is very important here. All right, let's go to Romans. Romans chapter 1. So, if I can find it, I know it's in here. It's actually in the first and the last chapters of Romans. Right here. Yeah. Verse 8. First, I thank my God through Jesus Christ, right, for all of you, because your faith is proclaimed in all the world. What? So he's telling the Romans now, in the book of Romans, he's telling them that your faith has been proclaimed through the world, so it's already happened. It's already happened. The gospel has been proclaimed through... You telling me this? You seriously going to sit here and tell me that 2,000 plus years The gospel has not yet been proclaimed throughout the whole world. Are you serious? Anybody you go to, if you go to any country, right, and you say, do you know who Jesus is? Yeah, they probably heard of that name. Some way, shape, or form, they've heard. And even if not, they know who God is. Because Romans chapter 1 goes a little bit further into that. All right, so, because they know who God is through nature. So let's jump back to Matthew 24. Matthew 24. Let's go back down to verse 15. Now, since we got that out of the way, the end will come. So, all right, so if that's the last thing that's supposed to happen, that the whole world will hear the gospel. The gospel will be proclaimed throughout the whole world, right? Then will the end come. Okay, so we're just waiting at this point. We're just waiting at this point because the whole world has heard about the gospel. Paul just told us that. Okay? In Romans 1. Alright? So, if we think about it like that, okay, we take that. Now, this is not the only reason why I don't believe in that any of this is future. The reason is because something that we'll get through, especially through the abomination of desolation. But if that's the last thing, then the end will come. As soon as he says that the gospel will be proclaimed through the ends of the world, right, to the whole world, okay, as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come. There's nothing else to do now. If the end is in the future, if the end is in like it's to come at any time, right? Then why is that the last thing that's supposed to happen? Why is that the last sign of Christ coming? That wouldn't make much sense, now would it? All right, verse 15. So when you see the abomination of desolation spoken by the prophet Daniel standing in the holy place, right? So the abomination of desolation is supposed to be some sort of statue or some sort of likeness of an idol or something like that, I think, right? Because it's standing in the holy place. Now, in a later video, I'm going to go into the book of Daniel, right? And we're going to look at what the abomination of desolation actually is, right? But let the reader understand. So, we're just a bunch of Gentiles reading into the text right now. So, we're like, oh, that sounds like something that's coming. No, it's already happened. So, verse 16. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. He just said Judea. Okay. Verse 17. Let the one who is on the housetop, right, not go down to take what is in his house. Okay. When is the last time you've seen in America a housetop? They're not very common, if any at all. All right? So we're not getting into that, okay? But, that can be easily disproven. Here we go. Verse 8. And let the one who is in the field not turn back to take his cloak. Now, we're going to be reading this a little bit later, okay? Where it's talking about the left behind, one in the, or two in the field and one will be left or something like that. This is a little bit of a precursor, I guess you can call it. Let's see. And let the one who is in the field not turn back to take his cloak, because he ran. He left. He ran to the hills, because Jesus just said, then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Jesus is talking about the ones living then. Verse 19. And alas, for women who are pregnant, and for those who are nursing infants in those days. Pray that your flight may not be in the winter or on the Sabbath. Okay? Now Jesus is telling people this because many of us Americans, even in the United States, right? The United States, like some Christians don't even know what a Sabbath is. They don't even know what a Sabbath is. Okay, you know, keep the Sabbath day, right? Keep it holy, right? So here we go. For then there will be great tribulation. Oh boy. Such as has not been from the beginning of the world until now. Until now, no, and never will be. So wait. He says, until now. You have not seen any great tribulation that's about to come upon you after you see the abomination of desolation. You better be fleeing up to the mountains of Judea. You know, Judea. Let's go. You of Judea. Flee to the mountains. Because the end is here. The destruction of the temple is here. It's happening right now. Go. Flee. Don't even, when you see this thing, don't even go back to your houses to get your stuff. Don't go back to take your cloak. You gonna die. Alright? You're gonna die. If you don't leave now, because there's great tribulation gonna come. God is going to judge this generation. Already has. And we're gonna see shortly. Okay? But it says, great tribulation. There will be great tribulation, right? Such as has not been from the beginning of the world until now. Not talking about 2,000 years plus. It's talking about now. When Jesus is speaking. First century. Here we go. No, and never will be. There won't be another one. And of those days had not been cut short. No human being would have saved, or would be saved. Sorry, I can't read. But for the sake of the elect, those days will be cut short. So Jesus says, okay, so these people right here, they're the elect of me. All right, it will be cut short. Their days will be cut short because this is going to be the greatest tribulation of their lives. And will never be another tribulation like this. Okay, and we know this via history. Okay, we know that this was the greatest tribulation ever. What he's speaking of now. I mean, people were eating their own children just to survive. Right? They were eating dung. They were eating their own poop. Excuse me. They were doing that stuff. It was a great famine, right? They weren't able to eat. They couldn't eat nothing. There was blood running down like a rushing river in the streets. I mean, people were dying left and right. People were getting murdered left and right. This is insane. This right here, again, look in history. This already happened. Verse 23. Then if anyone says to you, look, here is the Christ, or there he is, do not believe it. For false Christs and false prophets will arise and perform great signs and wonders, so as to lead astray, if possible, even the elect. Yeah, they were some sorcerers back in those days as well. All right. False Christs. They were false Christs. See, I have told you beforehand. So if they say to you, look, he is in the wilderness, do not go out. If they say, look, he is in the inner rooms, do not believe it. Verse 27. For as the lightning comes from the east and shines, right, as far as the west, so will be the coming of the Son of Man, Jesus. Wherever the corpse is, there the vultures will gather. All right. So are we actually talking about literal lightning strikes from the east into the west? All right? No. We're talking about judgment here. Okay? Now, we're getting into a lot right here. Now, after the tribulation, okay, so the tribulation's already passed. All right? Now we're into verse 27. Immediately after the tribulation, right, of those days, the sun will be darkened. Oh, boy. This passage right here is crazy. And the moon will not give its light. And the stars will fall from heaven. And the powers of heaven will be shaken. Wait a minute. There's actually going to be stars crashing on the earth? No. There's actually going to be, the sun will be darkened, the moon will not give its light? Literally? No. Not literally. Come on. If you know your Old Testament, you know that this is prophetic hyperbole. This is stuff that this is judgment wordage. Now, before we go any further, we're in verse 30. Let's keep tabs on that. Let's go to one passage here that will show us exactly what God's trying to say here. Okay? Verse 13. Let's go down to, chapter 13. Right. Here we go. Verse 10. For the stars of the heavens and their constellations will not give their light. The sun will be dark at its rising, and the moon will not shed its light. Does that sound familiar, what we just read? That's in the Old Testament. So Jesus right now is just quoting from the Old Testament at this point. Okay? This does not mean that the literal sun will not shine anymore. Or it'll blow up or whatever. Right? This stuff doesn't... This is what happens when you get a bunch of Gentiles together that don't know nothing about the Bible, that just reads this and is like, oh my glob, this is real and this is going to happen in the future. Because they don't know how God speaks in the Old Testament. They don't know his ways of thinking, his ways of putting things out there, his hyperbole, right? His judgment way, like the way he brings on judgment, the way that he talks about judgment, right? Verse 30, then will appear in heaven the sign of the Son of Man, and then all the tribes of the earth will mourn, right? And they will see the Son of God coming in the clouds, on the clouds, right? On the clouds, we'll get in that in just a second, of heaven, with power and great glory. And he will send out his angels with a loud trumpet call, and they will gather his elect from the four winds, which means just all over the earth, from one end of the heaven to the other. So, we're going to go into another passage of scripture here, okay? But before we do that, we're going to jump into the Old Testament. But before we do that, we're just going to read this again. Verse 30. Then will appear in heaven the sign of the Son of Man, and then all the tribes of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. What does that sound like to you? Now, God says this, Jesus says this, right? Right after verse 29, which says that the sun will be darkened, the moon will not give us light, the stars or the heavens will be shaken or whatever. So this is what this means, okay? Talking about judgment, this is judgment wordage. Now, if we look right after that, verse 30, then you will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds. So he's just on a cloud, rushing down to the earth, literally? No. So we're going to go into a passage real quick. Let me look it up. All right. So we're going to look at another passage in Isaiah. Okay. We love Isaiah on this channel. Here we go. We're going to go to Isaiah. I'll find it. 19. Right? Now, this is an oracle concerning Egypt. Okay. Now, this is the destruction of Egypt. Okay. This is the judgment of Egypt. Now, verse 1. an oracle concerning Egypt. Behold the Lord. And we've already looked at this. Okay, the Lord means Yahweh. When it's all caps like that, look it up. Don't take my word for it. Okay, don't take any of this as my word for it. But behold the Lord. So let me translate. Behold, Yahweh is riding on a swift cloud and comes to Egypt. So we mean that Yahweh is literally on a cloud, riding down to judge Egypt. No. Again, this is hyperbole. Okay? This right here is judgment talking right here. And behold, Yahweh is riding on a swift cloud. Yeah, he's surfing on clouds now. Yahweh is surfing on clouds, is riding on a swift cloud and comes to Egypt. No, that just means judgment. That's judgment language. Let's jump back to Matthew 24. Hopefully y'all are understanding this stuff. Then, right, will appear in heaven the sign of the Son of Man, and then all tribes, okay, then they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. Yeah, literally. No, this is him coming in judgment. He's coming down to judge his people. It's clear. Here we go. And he will send out the angels with him with a loud trumpet call, and they will gather his elect from the four winds, this right here, from the ends of the earth, the four winds, that just means from the entire earth. Now, we've already seen where the whole gospel has already been proclaimed through the whole world. Okay, we've already seen that. That was something before the tribulation was to come, apparently. All right, so the Great Tribulation in these times, before 70 AD, we've already seen that the whole world has been proclaimed the gospel, okay? Right here. And he will send out his angels with a loud call, right? And they will gather his elect from the four winds, from the whole earth, from the four corners, from the four winds, the four corners of the earth, right? From one end of the earth to the other. That's just us proclaiming the gospel. That's all that is. Everybody from the gospel. Right? That's it. He's just calling his elect. That's all that is. Anyway, lesson of the fig tree. Verse 32, rather. From the fig tree, learn its lessons. As soon as its branch becomes tender and puts out its leaves, you know that summer is near. So also, when you see all these things, that means everything that's already been said. When you see all these things, you know that he is near. Right? At the very gates, truly, I say to you, this generation will not pass away until all these things take place. All these things here are supposed to take place before this generation passes away. How did we ever get the idea that all this is future to us? How? Jesus clearly says in verse 34, truly I say to you, this generation, the generation that he's talking to now, who is he talking to? His generation. This generation, who I'm talking to, will not pass away until all these things take place. All of it. Everything that we just read. Everything. Including the abomination of desolation. Including, right, the so-called rapture. Including, right, all these things. The Great Tribulation, all that stuff. this generation he's talking to, will not pass away until all these things happen. All these things take place. Heaven and earth will not pass away, but my words will not pass away. It's clear. So clear. Okay, here we go. Verse 26. But concerning that day and hour, right? No one knows, not even the angels of heaven, nor the Son. Whoa. Whoa. Wait a minute. So, okay. So the Son. So let's do say that this is coming in the future, okay? Let's do say that this is coming in the future. You mean to tell me that the Son of God that's sitting at the right hand of the Father right now does not know his own coming? Seriously. He's fully God. Okay? This is him speaking in the flesh. This is him saying that in the flesh, I have no knowledge of this when this is coming. That's what that means. He's not saying, oh yeah, well, this is in the future. I can't tell you when it is. He just gave you all the signs for when it comes. To look for it. Not you, not me, but them. Anyway, he's talking about the flesh here, nor the Son, but the Father only. Okay? For as were the days of Noah, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. For as in those days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day when Noah entered the ark. We all know this. And they were unaware until the flood came and swept them all away. So will be the coming of the Son of Man. Then 2 men will be in the field. One will be taken and one left. Okay. So what exactly are we talking about here? Who are we talking about? Who in Noah, right? In the Noah, right? The story of Noah. Who was swept away? The wicked? Yeah, they were taken out. The wicked were taken out. Not us. The believers were Noah and his family. They're the ones who stayed on the ark. So, when it says right here, now remember, let's jump all the way back up here. Now remember, when he says, let's see. Yeah, right here. Then, right, verse 16. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Okay. Who's fleeing to the mountains? Come on, guys. Seriously. How is this something that we're... Look, the Left Behind series... Come on, man. We really need to get back on track with the Bible. Okay? Because the Bible is not saying any of this. Alright? In the days of Noah, the flood... Right? Okay. So, he entered the ark. Right? And they were unaware, right? And were swept them away, okay? Unaware. Who was unaware? They were unaware until the flood came and swept them all away. So will be the coming of the Son of Man. Now, let's look at something real quick before we go any further. And we're almost done. Just hang on. Almost done. Let's go to 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. The day of the Lord. Well, the day of the Lord. Okay. Now, this in Thessalonians was written before 70 AD. Hopefully, we can all attest to that, whatever it's called. Man, it's been a long video. Sorry, guys. But if you are in darkness, brothers, for that day to surprise you like a thief, right? So we all know that the Lord will come and like a thief in the night and all that stuff. For you are all children of light, children of the day. We are not of the night, nor of the darkness. Wait a minute. So, like a thief in the night, right? Like a thief in the night. We do not function in the night. Right here, we are children of the light, not of the darkness. So then, let us not sleep, right, as others do, because we're children of the light. But let us keep awake and be sober, right? For those who sleep, sleep at night, and those who get drunk are drunk at night. Now, we're not talking about actual stuff, right? We're not talking about actually sleeping. Obviously, we all need sleep, okay? But again, this is not future. This is not future, right? But since we belong to the day, let us be sober, having put on the breastplate of faith and love, and of a helmet, the hope of salvation, right? So, we are not children of the night. So, when he comes as a thief in the night, right here. Now, concerning the times and the seasons, brothers, you have no need for me to write anything to you, right? For you yourselves are fully aware that the day of the Lord will come like a thief in the night, right? Woo! Let's go. While people are saying, sorry about that. While people are saying there is peace and security, then sudden destruction will come upon them. Uh-oh. As labor pains come upon a pregnant woman, and they will not escape. But you are not in darkness, brothers, for the day is to surprise you is like a thief. And then it says, then Paul tells them, for you are all children of light, children of the day. So, no man know the hour, no man know the time, no man, right? But Jesus does say, be aware of these things, right? Now, again, let's jump back. So we all know that, the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night. But the believers in Christ and that listen to him and trust in him in those days, right? They will know when it comes because he's telling them right here. So let's go back down to where we were. Where were we? Let's see. Yeah. So verse 40. Then two men, will be in the field. One will be taken and one left. Two women will be grinding at the mill. One will be taken and one left. Again, all of y'all flee. All of you in Judea, flee to the mountains. The ones that don't hear my call, the ones that don't hear my warning, will be taken out. The wicked. Therefore, stay awake. For you do not know on what day your Lord is coming. Wait a minute. Where did we just hear that from? Verse 43. But know this, that if the master, right, of the house had known in what part of the night the thief was coming, he would have stayed awake and would not have let his house be broken into. So this tells me right here that people who hold the pre-mill or the pre-tribulation, like, the tribulation and the great tribulation and all that is coming future, they don't read their Bible. They just simply don't read it. Because if we read it in the context that it is read in and for what generation he's talking to, right, then we know, the tribulation, no man knows the hour, no man knows the time. Yeah, no man knows the time and hour. I get it. I get it. But stay awake. Stay awake. Because we are not children of the night. We are children of the day. We will know. We will see these signs. We will see what they will. And I'm talking for them. We will see these things. Okay? So, we're almost done. Therefore, you also must be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an hour you do not expect. Who then is the faithful and wise servant? So right here, Jesus is saying, these people that's not going to listen and that's going to be swept away is going to get this. Right? They're going to die. They're going to be gone. It's going to be... This is their judgment time. Okay? The covenant breakers, the old covenant breakers. Okay? The new covenants, the new covenant keepers now, right? The ones that he's speaking to, the ones that's going to be in Judea fleeing to the mountains, getting away from all this stuff, right? The so-called rapture, of this time, of this Matthew 24. This is exactly what he's talking about here. Okay? It's because the ones that are not, the ones that are to be judged are the covenant breakers, the old covenant breakers. The new covenant keepers is what I like to call them, which is what we are now, but them then that's going to be fleeing to the mountains of Judea, right? They're the ones that will be saved. Those that endure unto the end will be saved. Okay? So, Jesus says, who then the faithful? Who then is the faithful and the wise servant, whom his master has set over his household? Who has Jesus reigning in their house? Who has Jesus reigning in the temple? Who has Jesus reigning in their life at this time? To give them their food at the proper time. Right? We're almost done. Blessed is the servant who his master will find so doing when he comes. Truly, I say to you, he will set him over all his possessions. Right? But if that wicked servant says to himself, my master is delayed, right? Beginnings to beat his fellow servants and eats and drinks with drunkards, the master of the servant will come on a day when he does not expect him, and at the hour he does not know, and will cut him in pieces and put him with the hypocrites. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Okay. Man, that was a lot. All right. We're close to 50 minutes. Jeez. Okay. So let's jump back up here. Foretelling of the temple being destroyed. Signs of the end of the age, which is the end of that time, right? The abomination of desolation, right? When you see these flee to the mountains. The coming of the Son of Man, which is judgment. Judgment. Lessons of the fig tree, okay? Truly I say to you, this generation will not pass away until all these things take place. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. That's assurance. That's Jesus giving his stamp of approval over this prophecy. Okay? And then right here, no man know the hour. No one knows the hour. Not even the Son, apparently. But he's talking about his flesh and everything else. But he does say to watch and be alert and be sober, be awake at all times. Watch and see. Right? And this is talking about this generation. It's not talking about us in future. Okay? So anybody that believes in the tribulation, it's not so. Okay? The Great Tribulation's already passed. All right? It's past. It's not future. Okay? It's already happened. So anybody that's more concerned about, this whole world's going to hell in a handbasket, let me just focus on myself and let me get out of here. It's not going to happen, sorry. You're going to be waiting until you die. It's not coming because it's already came. Okay. Now, what I want to say real quick, okay, is that I will be going again. We'll be going to more detail, okay, and what a post-millennial view makes sense of this and why it makes sense, okay. And we'll be going into the whole Old Testament, New Testament, the entire Bible. And we're going to be proclaiming the truth of the post-millennial view, okay? That's my view, post-millennial, okay? Post-trib, I just read it to you, the tribulation and the rapture and all that stuff has already taken place in 70 AD. So, if you like this channel, hopefully after this, I don't know, because... The Great Tribulation and the post-trib and the post-mill and all that stuff is very it's very popular, right? The Left Behind series and all that stuff. No man knows the hour, and the Lord's gonna come back anytime soon and all that stuff, and it's coming. It's already came. Sorry. But anyway, look, I love you guys. Like, subscribe, do all that great stuff. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Go share it to anybody that might be struggling with this very thing. And we will read the Bible yet again together. Love you guys. Praying for all y'all to get your minds sober. Stay awake. Huh? We're still supposed to be staying awake now and being sober-minded. Okay? Because Peter tells us this later on. Love you guys. Peace.